The landscape of television crime drama is vast, and while NCIS has carved its place as a beloved titan of the procedural genre, its consistent success has, in many ways, solidified a formula that other shows have transcended. The world of police procedurals is filled with series that, for decades, have pushed the boundaries of storytelling, realism, and character development far beyond the comfortable confines of the Washington Navy Yard. The 10 shows that stand as superior alternatives to NCIS don't just solve crimes, they redefine what the genre can achieve, offering a masterclass in everything from gritty realism to psychological depth. These shows are not merely better procedurals, they are often considered among the greatest television dramas ever created. At the very pinnacle of this hierarchy sits The Wire, a show that is not just a police procedural but a sprawling, novelistic examination of the American city. Often cited as the greatest television show of all time, The Wire uses the police department as one lens through which to view the systemic decay of Baltimore. Unlike NCIS, which focuses on a team of infallible heroes solving a case in a neatly wrapped 42-minute package, The Wire is a sociological study. It explores the war on drugs, the failing education system, and the corrupt political machinery, showing that the good guys were often just as flawed as the bad guys. Its authenticity is unmatched, drawn from the real-life experiences of its creator David Simon, a former Baltimore crime reporter, and Ed Burns, a former homicide detective. This grounding in reality means that the bureaucracy, the frustration, and the moral compromises of police work are front and center, a stark contrast to the more palatable team dynamics of NCIS*. The Wire doesn't offer easy answers or triumphant endings, it offers a profound and unflinching look at the systems that shape our lives, making it the undisputed king of the genre. Following in the footsteps of The Wire's gritty realism is Homicide: Life on the Street, the show that laid the groundwork for David Simon's later masterpiece. Also set in Baltimore and co-written by Simon, this NBC classic was a revolution in its own right. It was a pioneer in giving the audience an intimate, often deeply uncomfortable look at the lives of homicide detectives, showcasing the toll the job takes on their personal lives and mental health. The show is famous for its intense interrogation scenes, particularly those featuring Andre Brower's legendary detective Frank Pembleton, whose psychological battles with suspects are works of art. Where NCIS might use a witty quip to diffuse tension, Homicide leans into the darkness, creating a darkly funny, highly literate atmosphere that feels genuinely dangerous and unpredictable. It treats its characters with a level of emotional depth and moral complexity that NCIS rarely approaches, making it a far more rewarding and intellectually stimulating watch. If Homicide was the architect of the modern gritty procedural, Hill Street Blues is the blueprint from which it was drawn. Premiering in 1981, this show was a seismic shift in television history, inventing the gritty police drama and changing the grammar of how these stories could be told. Before Hill Street Blues, cop shows were often clean-cut and moralistic. This show introduced a world of flawed, exhausted, and deeply human officers dealing with alcoholism, divorce, and the daily grind of a chaotic urban precinct. Its pioneering use of handheld cameras, overlapping dialogue, and frenetic editing gave it a visceral, documentary-like feel that was unheard of at the time. This show set the standard for serialized character arcs within a procedural framework, proving that you could tell compelling single-episode stories while also building rich, long-form narratives about the characters' struggles. It is the forerunner to virtually every other show on this list, and a cornerstone of all modern prestige drama. Building on the revolution of Hill Street Blues was NYPD Blue, which took the blueprint for character-driven, gritty drama and pushed it further into the realm of raw authenticity. Co-created by Steven Bochco, this ABC hit was famous for pushing the boundaries of network censorship, but its true legacy lies in its unflinching portrayal of police work. NYPD Blue was willing to show its main characters, like the brilliant but deeply troubled detective Andy Sipowicz, engaging in extra-legal behavior, struggling with addiction, and grappling with post-traumatic stress disorder. It rejected the workplace family with comedy elements vibe of *NCIS in favor of hard-hitting, emotionally devastating storylines about the real dangers and psychological toll of the job. The show's authenticity was partly overseen by a former NYPD officer, giving it a credibility that a polished, formulaic show like *NCIS could never hope to achieve. For those who prefer their procedurals with a heavy dose of science and intellect, CSI, Crime Scene Investigation is the superior choice. While *NCIS is a character-first show that uses forensics as a plot device, CSI was a genre-defining series that put the science front and center. It was a genuine phenomenon that perfected the winning formula of combining grim, captivating investigations with a cast of awkward, flawed, and eccentric forensic scientists. The show's focus on the who and how from a scientific perspective was groundbreaking, and it set the template for a decade of similar shows. While *NCIS leans into the camaraderie of its team, CSI highlighted the intellectual eccentricities of its characters, with Gil Grissom proving to be a far more iconic and compelling team lead than Leroy Jethro Gibbs. Without *CSI, there would be no *NCIS as we know it, as it proved that forensics could be the star of the show. In the realm of forensic procedurals with a unique hook, Bones stands out as a show that balances grisly science with a surprising heart, often in a way that is more charming than *NCIS. The series centers on the brilliant but socially awkward forensic anthropologist Temperance Brennan and her partnership with the intuitive FBI agent Seeley Booth. Their will they won't they dynamic is one of television's most iconic, offering a romantic and comedic center that *NCIS rarely focuses on with such intensity. Where *NCIS can feel formulaic, Bones excels in balancing morbid subject matter with wacky crimes and absurd humor, creating a tonal variety that keeps the long 12-season run feeling fresh and engaging. It may not be as consistently brilliant as The Wire, but at its best, Bones reaches heights of entertainment that the more predictable *NCIS cannot match. If the case of the weak format of *NCIS leaves you wanting more complex, overarching plots, then The Bridge is a masterclass in the serialized format. This Nordic noir classic uses a single, sprawling narrative arc across an entire season, a stark departure from the self-contained nature of *NCIS episodes. Its dark, gritty tone and cinematic visuals create an addictive and immersive atmosphere that procedural fans rarely get to experience. Furthermore, The Bridge was one of the first shows to place a heavy focus on psychological profiling as a key element of the investigation, a trend that would later be perfected by other shows on this list. It elevates the crime drama from simple puzzle solving to a deep, character-driven psychological thriller. Taking the concept of psychological profiling to its most refined and terrifying conclusion is Mindhunter. This Netflix masterpiece is a brilliantly inventive period drama that explores the birth of criminal profiling within the FBI. Unlike NCIS, which often has a light-hearted tone, Mindhunter is unflinchingly dark, cerebral, and intense, focusing on the psychological toll that interviewing and analyzing serial killers takes on the agents. Its production values are cinematic, and its storytelling is deeply unsettling and intelligent. While its high cost may have been its downfall, it stands as an almost perfect example of what a prestige procedural can be, demonstrating that the genre is not just for comfortable network viewing but can be a vehicle for high art. For a more classic detective approach that is nonetheless superior to NCIS, The Mentalist offers a clever spin on the formula with its protagonist, Patrick Jane. Jane is a consultant for the California Bureau of Investigation who uses his incredible observational skills and charisma to solve crimes, often under the guise of being a psychic. This unique premise sets it apart from the military-driven plots of NCIS, allowing for stories that feel fresh and intellectually stimulating. While it shares the witty repartee and team dynamics of NCIS, the show is fundamentally about a singular, fascinating character whose personal vendetta provides a compelling long-running arc that enriches the case of the weak structure. Finally, for a show that shares thematic DNA with NCIS but executes it with far greater depth and cultural impact, there is Law and Order, Special Victims Unit. While NCIS explores broad social issues, SVU does so with a raw, harrowing focus on sexually based offenses. The show is not afraid to tackle the most difficult and uncomfortable aspects of crime, contextualizing it within a broader social framework with more nuance than NCIS typically manages. At its heart is Olivia Benson, a character whose slow-burning, rewarding character arc over nearly 3 decades makes her one of the greatest protagonists in television history. The show's longevity and its willingness to delve into the psychological trauma of both its victims and its investigators give it a weight and importance that a more lightweight procedural like NCIS simply cannot compete with.